just seem phenomenal.
Yeah, especially when you have Linvalas to like fight the Cunning Spark Mage thing post-board. Because now those white-blue decks have the Linvalas, which is what they kind of needed, you know?
And here we go. This is round 10, the last round of Swiss, and we are in fact bringing you Mike Eisenhauer, who we were just talking about, playing blue-white Cobblade, and you said he's been testing this deck for a long time, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty good player. He writes columns online. He's written for a couple different sites. You know, he's really into StarCraft, so I know him better from him constantly being on StarCraft.
Sure.
I'm kind of into that, so. And it's good to see him doing well at a tournament. I've seen him come to a lot of tournaments with very high expectations and not really do as well as he'd like. He's somebody who, you know, he has a mind for gaming and he really likes to game, but he hasn't seen the success he'd like to. So it'd be nice to see him make a top 8.
And he's playing without the red, just straight up blue-white, correct?
Correct.
And it feels like the Tectonic Judge is really good. On the other hand, we have Steven Carpenter. We don't have Steven's deck list yet. I don't know what he's playing.
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I've played against Steven Carpenter before. I didn't recognize the name, but I definitely recognize the face. And I've seen him beat me with. He's beat me a few times with mono red. So I'm expecting mono red or Burrows out of this gentleman.
You guys don't have Beatdown Benny on camera. Is he not in contention?
No, he's X2.
Oh.
Yeah, we had him on earlier. His deck seemed awesome for this tournament.
Yeah, he seemed like he had the best.
All right,
Jerry Thompson said he had the best deck for this tournament. So, all right. So what do we have here? So we have Rug.
Ooh, so actually, Steven's playing Valakut today.
Oh,
Nice.
Valakut with Avenger of Zendikar and 3 Inferno. This is what we were talking about earlier. 3
Inferno
Titans.
Inferno Titan's really good right now. That's what I kept saying.
Right. So,
Saying you should play more of that card.
so since you can't see us now, I'm Gavin Verhey with Jake Van Loon, and Mike Flores just stepped into the booth to give us some of his wisdom.
We did sick drafts at dinner. We drafted all-time deck design squads for 3-day event, present value deck design squads for 3-day event, sequels, pop icons.
Well, okay, back to the game right now. So that's not really relevant to what we're talking about right now.
Jake?
Well, I mean, let's talk about what could happen in this match. Now, Eisenhower's playing a blue-white Caw-Blade deck. He's got a lot of counter magic. He's not really playing those cards that are necessarily like weak against Valakut. So I think this match is definitely in Mike's favor here. Although I've really got to give it to Steven's sleeves.
He has Preordain. The only one deck has Preordain.
Yeah, there are only 4 Preordain between these two decks.
I would pick the deck that has Preordain. If you just look at the top 8 of the events, the one of the main ways that you can determine if a deck will make top 8 is if it has 4 Preordain.
That's you know, an interesting way of looking at the standard format.
Have you ever heard of this card, Jace the Mind Sculptor? It's a really.
I mean,
good
no.
one.
Here's the thing, though. Steven stuck a turn 2 Lotus Cobra, and you know, Mike's not playing the red, so he doesn't have a way to kill that thing.
Oh, I think that is that Valakut on the right hand side.
It is Valakut. So I mean, his opponent could just play a land here, and the next turn he could just play.
It's probably a disaster, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, if he has a regular land and then a sack land the next turn, it means he's playing a turn 4 Inferno Titan, and that's just.
Does he have
lights.
That 2/2 guy that destroys a land?
Acidic Slime, no. He doesn't have any in the main deck, 1 in the sideboard. He's got Green Sun Zenith in the sideboard to potentially search it out.
What's he have here that's exciting? He doesn't have anything on 5.
Oh, he's playing Summoning Trap, actually.
Oh,
he's playing a Summoning Trap version, which is pretty cool.
Summoning Trap, Cultivate, Inferno, 3 Inferno.
Oh, does he have an Explore? Can he explore here? That'd be gas. Oh, he's just attacking.
Yeah, that's kind of a disappointing turn for him. Turn 2 Cobra, untap into Vern Catacombs with no play.
I mean, actually, here's an interesting question. Do you attack in that spot?
We're Ret Condemn.
Yeah, I mean, like, why open it up, right? Like, is 2 damage really going to matter? Like, most of the time when that deck wins against blue white, they win in a blowout, not by a 2.
I mean, it's fair, but I mean, I don't really see any blue-white Caw-Blade decks playing Condemn main.
I mean, Rabbits just condemned the Jesus out of somebody like 2 rounds ago. I thought
okay,
he was
well, I mean, yeah, but it's just not something that like you would assume would come from that
I'm
deck.
just saying, like, I don't know if I take the risk, is what I'm saying.
Like is the 2 damage going to be worth it?
Yeah, is the 2 damage worth it? Like, versus just having the Lotus Cobra.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about what's going on right now. Right now, Steven just played a land, and with the mana he gets off his Lotus Cobra, he can pop this fetch land, and he can play an Inferno Titan. And that's a pretty scary thing to happen. Oh, he attacks again. He does not pop the land.
Does he have Avenger of Zendikar in his hand? Can he not cast it? What's he got?
He's Summoning Trap.
Oh, he's just going to trap Eot? Must be his plan.
I know he can't do it at the end of the turn because he'll be mana short.
I mean, I'm surprised he didn't run out the. And this is really interesting because now he's.
Why didn't he just main
playing really defensively?
Is he waiting for a planeswalker? The problem is if it's Jace, it's just going to bounce his guy, and then he's set back quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I learned that from Pat Chapin, learned it from Michael Jacob, where like you just always Jace make them pick up the mana accelerators. It's like the best way to play against these kind of decks.
Because it just slows them down.
Yeah, like their only way they're really going to win is if they get some really explosive thing against you. If you play a fair fight against them, they can basically never win. Like you're just going to deprive their Green Sun Zenith or whatever mana leak their Avengers Undercard. But if they have like an explosive amount of mana versus you, it's just annoying for them for the unsummons like 2 or 3 turns in a row.
It's possible that the attacking with Lotus Cobra might be better because in a version with Inferno Titan, that might change up the math a little bit on how attacks work.
Sure.
Yeah, how the damage works out. I'm not positive, obviously. I'm sure Mr. Carpenter has a lot more experience with the deck than we do.
I mean, do you have to walk your Inferno?
Is that a? Does he have a Summoner's Trap here?
He does have Summoning Trap in his hand.
And he has Inferno Titan in his hand. I think he's just going to walk an Inferno Titan into a...
Well, I mean, it looks like he has 3 Titans and a trap, so I mean...
But if that's the case, wouldn't you have just cast one of your 6s last turn?
I feel like he would have. I feel like I would have. I mean, I don't know if that's a trap, though. Maybe it's not a trap. Maybe we misread it.
I think he has a Primeval Titan, an Inferno Titan, and a Summoning Trap.
I'm pretty sure he's got a trap, too. I think maybe he was worried about a Day of Judgment, potentially.
Oh, he's baiting with the Primeval Titan. That's interesting.
That is certainly interesting.
Yeah, Inferno Titan's
I would've
really,
baited with
really
the Red
good.
Titan. I don't... Actually, I won a game today that I was attacked by three times by Primeval Titan. But previously I said I'd never won a game that... I've never lost a game that I've attacked with one.
It's I mean, the thing about Primeval Titan is like in this matchup, the mana it gets you is so crucial.
So he has a bananas potentially play. Oh, I can't believe I counterspelled that. I mean, like, what's the chances it's worse than a Primeval Titan, right?
Right. I mean,
it's going to be like an overgrown battlement.
I mean, I think he's like he doesn't have much action left in his deck. He's
no
well.
Titan. All right.
He had a lot of.
Oh, his buddies are like, yeah.
He had an Avengers Zendikar in there too.
Oh, he was thinking about Avengers Zendikar?
Yeah, he's thinking about Avengers.
No, you got to get Primeval Titan is the man.
I think so. Because you don't want him to just untap and Day of Judgment you, right? Like, that's kind of silly.
Eisenhauer.
AJ, did you just draw into top 8? And that's the look you have on your face? Yeah, you shouldn't tie your emotional state to your individual
So here we are.
Wait, what happened?
Yeah,
where are you going to get it from?
I mean, that's not something you really expect at all.
I mean, don't you have like time to try to get it now? And in top 8 tomorrow? Oh.
AJ, what time does the top 8 start tomorrow?
8 a.m. AJ. 8 a.m.
Okay, for real? Thank you, bro.
Yo, you get a buy in the Legacy.
Okay, so that's how they're running it. So we were worried they were going to have to push the start time back.
It's like really unfair. Disgusting.
But apparently, if you make the finals of tomorrow, you just get a buy for the first round of Legacy.
That seems like a reasonable way to do it. And I mean, you know, you should get rewarded. You made the finals of the tournament. You shouldn't get get punished and not be able
like,
to.
I was sitting playing at like the 1-0 table this morning. That was after my win that I had today. And people were like, "Oh, Jerry Thompson doesn't have to play for 2 rounds. It's not fair." Actually, like that seems that silly to me. The reason that Star City takes the expense to fly you guys out here to like do these events.
Yes, we do. They're right here. We'll give. Yeah.
Is the excitement of seeing certain players that you want to cheer for in the top 8. For example, if Josh Ravitz and Patrick Sullivan make top 8, that's going to be like the greatest top 8 of all time. Better than any Pro Tour that had both John Finkel and Kai Bude. Oh, AJ's in it too.
Did Ravitz win his last round?
I think that he drew.
He drew.
I think it's Dodgykins.
So let's get back to the game. That Primeval Titan is certainly making things tough for Mike. He didn't have the Day of Judgment, and it's doing its Valakutty thing. Yep, and Mike
Raging Ravine.
Mike packs it in.
Yeah, Mike just packs it up.
Mike can't be too happy.
Primeval Titan came down. That was going to be it.
Weren't paying as much attention to that game as I might have liked Mike Flores, but
Gavin pulled up a chair and said, "Why don't you sit down?" I was actually like making sure Ozip wasn't telling
the deck
lies
could
about
have
me from dinner.
you know, had Mike known that his opponent was playing the Summoning Trap version, he could have played the game differently and won the game. Had he not played that Squadron Hawk on that turn, had he instead passed and the next turn played a land and played the Squadron Hawk with 5 lands up, then he could have Mana Leaked the Titan and then Spell Pierce the Summoning Trap.
He have it?
He had the Spell Pierce plus Mana Leak. So, you know, he didn't play around the Summoning Trap. And there was really no reason for him to play the way he played. Like, he kind of just, you know, like, he was trying to save himself 2 damage, which is somewhat irrelevant.
I thought we were saying that the deck with Preordained was going to win.
It was great having you in the booth, Mike. Be well. You'll be on your way. Thank you.
Bye, Jake.
Oh, and Mike just leaves.
Well, we need to actually talk about the matches that are happening. Like, it's
Hey, it's Christian Calcano.
in the background.
Yeah, in the background. Yeah, so the interesting thing about this is I thought that a lot of the Valakut decks had stopped playing some of their summoning traps. Isn't that accurate?
Yeah, most Valakut decks aren't playing Summoning Trap.
Right.
They've all moved to this green Sun Zenith plan, so it's not something Mike really expected, and it's probably why he was so frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that case, like, I think you just have to hedge and try and maybe play that Squadron Hawk, and it was a little rough. It didn't turn out well for Mike, but in a, you know, slightly different situation, it might have been just fine. Because A, he had to have Summoning Trap in his deck, and B, he had to have Summoning Trap in his hand.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Steven seems to have this format exactly where I'd like to have this format. Is a lot of Inferno Titans in his deck.
yeah, 3 Inferno Titans seems like a very nice number of Inferno Titans.
I mean, look at this: 2 Avenger, 3 Inferno Titan, and 4 Primeval Titan. Like, that's a top end.
Yeah, I mean, like, Steven is not going to run out of fatties. He's going to hit 6 or 7 mana and be like, bam, 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 the end.
Yeah.
To be fair, he sacrificed maybe a little bit of speed in doing so. He only has 1 Cultivate, which is
I think that's pretty normal now.
Only 1 Cultivate?
Cultivate, yeah. 1 or 0 Cultivate.
Yeah. Well, it feels like to fit in all those fatties, he had to cut something out, right?
Well, yeah, he's not playing Battlements.
Oh, right, yes. That's the accelerator that he's missing, is Overgrown Battlement.
Yeah, he chose to play Conley Heart instead.
And which I guess is somewhat reasonable because a lot of the Boros stacks are picking up ways to deal with battlement. For example, like Hero of Oxid Ridge is a great example of a way that deals with battlement.
Yeah, I mean, it's also nice having the battlements because they're an accelerant that your opponent, like, can't Spell Pierce, and it's really poor for them to use a counterspell on it because they can just be walking into a Summoning Trap.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now that he knows that traps in the deck, like, creates a really interesting paradigm.
Really interesting situation. Because, like, you never know, like, Steve may have even sided them out and brought in the Green Sun Zeniths.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the sideboard for the Valakut deck, it seems like the cards you would be most likely to bring in are maybe the Viridian Corruptor, probably not. Although I guess if you bring in the Zeniths, you might want the Corruptor to hit the swords. Maybe Ulamog, that seems like a good card in this kind of matchup. Greenstone Zeniths, sure. And maybe the Acidic Slime. Viridian Emissary is interesting, but I don't think it's for this matchup. It's got to be for the beatdown matchups, right?
Yeah, against the beatdown decks, it's just really strong. It's basically like a Sakura Tribal there that actually trades with things. You know?
Right. I just think it's a cool little sideboard card. On Mike's side, he's got a... let's see.
He's got Flash Freezes.
Brought in a full set of Flash Freezes. And Oust is also probably great against the Lotus Cobra starts, too, right?
Yeah, I don't think he'd necessarily bring it in, though.
Let's see, well, what is he going to be taking out? I think he probably takes out 1 sword, maybe? Or do you think he wants both swords in? Maybe
he could definitely take out a sword.
Maybe Gideon gets the cut? Or do you have to just go on the aggressive too fast, maybe?
I mean, Gideon's not great, but okay. I think maybe both swords are actually fine.
I mean, milling them actually seems kind of decent. If
yeah,
you can get anyway, so back to the game, we have Mike leads with a couple blue-white lands, and it's the Preordained, a pretty typical play we've seen all weekend, where Steven just plays 2 lands and has no turn to play, just passes. And man, both players know that their top 8 life is on the line.
Yeah, Mike's looking a little bit tilted. It's good to, you know, it's good to not get, like, rattled when you take these losses. Because, like, he just lost 1 game. He's definitely still in this match. Like, this match is probably a favorable match for him. So, doing something erratic, like going on tilt from a single, you know, game loss is something that's not of any value and doesn't do any good.
I think, I mean, Mike might be on tilt a little bit, but you can tell he's trying to compose himself. He's, cast a Stoneforge Mystic, is thinking, how am I going to get through this game?
He's chosen a correct line of play in a lot of ways. Like,
right.
His opponent's going for an end of turn Harrow, and I mean, oh no, okay, an end of turn Bolt, okay. If his opponent went for an end of turn Harrow,
that's
pretty
scary.
good for Mike.
I mean, yeah. Brian Kibler just said that he feels like Oust comes in against Valakut with Cobra, so there's so maybe he might have brought those in assuming that there was room to take things out for them. But once again, obviously, I don't know what Mike's sideboard plans are. And there are only so many cards you can realistically take out.
Oh, so he was going to bring in the Oust. That's interesting.
Well, or at least Kibler felt they should be brought in this matchup. Okay, so he drops Sword of Feast and Famine. Just passes. Steven doesn't have a lot of action, but he's slowly ramping up.
I would be surprised if Mike just decided to take that Valakut away from him right now.
I mean, I think that's reasonable. You're up on lands. He's not doing a lot. You don't want him to just, jump up in a mana count, right? Plus, you deny him of his red source.
Absurd things.
But if Mike might has maybe some counter magic in his hands, which we know he does, then he wants to sit on it probably, right?
That makes sense.
And you can just go end step, kill a Valakut. I don't know if too much changes, because the big barrier is 6, unless he has that acidic slime. Alright, so he does crack the Verdant Catacombs. So what do you think we're going to see here then?
Maybe an acidic slime?
I mean, he has one acidic slime. And let's see, Steven dropped the card onto the battlefield. And Mike countered it.
I don't know what just happened, but I know there's a spell that was cast, I know there's a counter that was played.
Yes. But because of the camera angle, we're not entirely sure exactly what happened.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
so it was a Green Sun Zenith.
Green Sun Zenith for 3. I guess he was going for a Breeding Corruptor there.
That makes sense.
Alright, so and there comes Jace. In that situation, interesting thing about Green Sun Zenith, do you think you pay all of your mana for it?
It's a good question.
Because
there's really, it's like you play it for 4, and then like you don't. They have no idea what you're getting. If you're playing it for 4, you might just be getting an Oracle.
Right. I mean, you can just bluff what you're getting, because the extra mana doesn't really seem like it's doing anything. But also, you don't get to represent both anymore.
That's true.
So there's definitely a trade-off there.
Yeah, like if Mike had another Stoneforge, he wouldn't have any problem just casting the Stoneforge and then equipping the sword that he has in play, and then having it be bolt-proof. His opponent had to cast it for 4.
Exactly. Yeah, and so he tech edges down the Valakut. And yeah, Steven does have another bolt in his hand, so that would explain why he didn't do that. He drew a mountain, which would give him...
What did he do with this Jace now? The Brainstorm?
I think it's on 5 counters. He Fate Sealed Steven, I believe.
Okay.
So, Harrow. Steven happily slams down that Harrow while Mike is tapped out and not going to run it into anything. Picks up an extra land on the exchange. And Nature's Claim on the sword.
So fine.
So we know Steven at least brought in Nature's Claims.
I mean, it's not unrealistic at this point for Mike to just tick, tick, tick with Jace and just take his opponent's library away.
Sure.
I mean, that's what I'd probably start doing.
I think a lot depends on what Steven has. He has 3 cards. I thought I saw a Summoning Trap in there, but I really wasn't sure. Alright, so he preordains, puts a land on the bottom.
There's that card in his hand.
Draws a Tech Edge. It's a pretty good call. And so he still has a sword and a Day of Judgment in his hand, and
along with a Flash Freeze.
The 3rd card is a Flash Freeze. Excellent for him.
Yep.
So yeah, he's going on the Jake Van Lunen plan and looks at Steven's
Seems
top
like a
card
good
again.
plan.
Yep, and you can keep it. And that's one of the scariest things in the world is when your opponent's like, Jace you, leave it on top when you don't have anything else going on. It is not a good sign. And down comes Sword of Body Mind. And Steven's going to draw something, draws a mountain that Mike generously gave him. And he's sitting on a summoning trap indeed. Looks like summoning trap, lightning bolt. At what point do you just have to go for the trap? Do you think Mike's ever going to tap out here?
I mean, I know I wouldn't.
I think maybe he's going to try and.
But he also has the day, so even if his opponent goes for the trap, he can re-day.
Right. I mean,
the big issue is if, his opponent can't really resolve the trap in his end step, and Mike's switching plans here.
Okay, so Mike chooses to draw cards. Feels like he just needs some action with go that sort of body and mind to take over the game.
That seems reasonable.
Let's see. So, Baneslayer Angel. Here it comes. So, Onyx Garcia just came by to tell us how he's doing, and he finished X1-1, and he's pretty confident.
2 bolts should be enough to finish off this Baneslayer Angel.
Yeah, that Baneslayer Angel goes down. So the innovative bug deck that we saw.
Well, not necessarily. Mike may choose to use his Flash Freeze here.
And leave it wide open for Summoning Trap?
I mean, I don't agree with that play, but I'm saying it could have happened.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like Mike has enough action going on. He can afford to sit on his Flash Freeze. Because clearly I think what Steven was trying to do was draw out that a counter spell. So anyway, so the innovative bug deck that we saw last round by Onyx Garcia is...
See some Faith Sealing.
Just made top 8, so that's pretty exciting. Soren Markov makes it in the top 8.
Soren Markov has been nuts today.
Onyx tells us Soren Markov was excellent for him. And so, yeah, Steven's desperately trying to find his way out of the situation. He draws a Calmly Heart Expedition. That's not going to do it. Mike's got this game under control. He just has to be careful. He doesn't let it slip out from under him.
Yeah, I think he's probably just going to main phase tech edge this cut here. Oh, I guess not. Well, I mean, he knows what his opponent's going to draw, so there's not really that much value in it. Ooh, he let his opponent draw an Explorer.
Okay. So, yeah, he's going to go exploring.
Yeah.
Picks up another mountain. And that brings him to 4 mountains? 5 mountains?
5 mountains, so 1 more mountain, and
Valakut gets active.
Valakut gets active, that's true.
I mean, that's a kind of a long-range plan that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's a lot, especially long-range plan. When you take into consideration the fact that Mike has multiple tech edges on the table.
It's a super long-range plan, especially when you consider that Valakut is no longer on the battlefield thanks to one of those tectonic edges. Now, Celestial Colonnade could potentially start doing something, but I know Steven is just being very diligent. He does not want to walk into anything. And yeah, I think now he figured out he's just going on the Jace plan, and Steven's like, alright, we have to go for Summoning Trap.
Spell Pierce.
And he pierces it.
Click.
And yeah, he
untap,
left the card
and he has
there.
Flash Freeze, and,
and he packs it in.
Nice. Mike ultimates a Jace, taking down game 2 there. Now Mike's in that awkward place where you're playing against the Lotus Cobra deck on the draw.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Oust is really going to be what he's going to want here. Oh man, this is such a tense match. Game 3, winner makes top 8.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is certainly exciting. For those of you just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Jacob Van Lunen, and this is round 10. This is actually the last game of Magic we're going to feature tonight before the top 8 tomorrow morning. And the winner is in top 8, the loser not so much.
Sad day for the loser.
For the 2 players playing, in case you didn't catch the end of that last game, are Mike Eisenhauer, who's playing a blue-white Caw-Blade deck. he's got a pretty good idea of how to play it. He seems to be playing it pretty well, very diligently, knows what he's doing, and he's kind of come through the tournament and worked really hard. Jake said earlier that he's played a lot of this deck online. He feels like blue-white is better than having the red, and those tectonic edges are invaluable, which we've seen be relatively important in this match.
Yeah, I mean, he says it's been unreal for him all day, so I don't doubt it at all.
And on the other side, we have Stephen Carpenter playing Valakut. The deck that fell out of popularity a little bit is really playing. It's still playing for top 8 here, and it shows you how powerful it is. Stephen's weapon of choice today, alongside his Primeval Titans and Avenger of Zendikars, are Inferno Titans, which has been a big card all weekend. And
Inferno Titan's been pretty good today.
Yeah, I mean, every time we see a cast, it's either picking up a Basilisk Caller or cleaning out Squadron Hawks or killing a Baneslayer Angel with a Lightning Bolt, and just phenomenal.
Good card.
Oh man, one game to decide if you make top 8 or not. This is huge. Both players, I'm sure, they look so stoic, and I'm sure on the inside they just know what's going on. When you get into these kind of positions, it can be so hard sometimes. How do you deal with the stress of playing in a match like this, Jake? You've obviously played in some very high stakes matches yourselves.
When I'm in like a win-in or something like that, I try to just think about it like any other match. I try to just focus on the game at hand and just play the best I can. So I feel like you really just have to treat it like any other match, because if you start thinking about it like it is that match, like some people like get the fire or whatever, but I feel like if you're playing well enough to make it that deep anyway, like you probably just want to play how you normally play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just can't let it affect your play at all, you know? You can't get nervous or start worrying too much. You just have to kind of clear your mind of it.
We have Brian Kibler online saying that he actually gave Mike some advice about how to sideboard here. So
which included bringing in Oust.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand bringing in Oust if the player has Overgrown Battlement and Lotus Cobra, but if they only have one, I don't know how valuable it is. Of course, he doesn't know that.
Right.
You know,
That's true.
It's a game of imperfect information.
In fact, has he even seen the Inferno Titans yet?
Yes. In game 1? Oh, did he?
No, because he's baited with the Primeval Titan and it resolved.
And
it got countered, then he got Summoning Trapped into
yeah.
one. So yeah, he might not even realize that Inferno Titan is sitting on the other
I mean, he
side.
understands that Steven's trying to get to 6 mana and cast
You're
spells,
right.
so it's not really
like,
something you can play around.
Well, but if he knows he has Inferno Titan, that means he knows that he had to have cut something for it. So, I mean, that could maybe give him an idea. Although, maybe Battlement isn't the card he would think would go in that slot. Where he's like, why does this dude have Summoning Trap and Inferno Titan? But the Summoning Trap seemed pretty good for him in the first game, so...
This is it. Eisenhauer himself. That's his StarCraft name, Eisenhauer.
Some players evaluating their hands.
So I think that's a keep from Steven. And that's a keep from Mike.
Alright, so Steven leads on Forest. And thinks, and here comes down Explore. And Spell Pierce from Mike. It's going to shut him out of a little bit of time there.
I think that's really important, just like stemming off like the acceleration that this Valakut deck puts out.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if you can keep them off 6, like, his deck really doesn't do anything until it gets to 6. Like, it's not even like the battlements like can let him like do some like strange like Summoning Trap. Like, if his opponent stays off 6, he can just win. So.
Right, and I mean that's really what Mike seems poised to do. He sees Mana Leak, and I thought that was maybe a white producing land, but I wasn't totally sure. Maybe that was the Glacial Fortress he just drew. Back to Steven. Looks like he has some lands, another Explore. Alright, looks like we're going to go exploring again. Yep. And another Spell Pierce.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Wow.
I mean, Steve just doesn't have another land to play right now, right?
Yeah, the thing is, the Valakut deck really needs those cards because it doesn't have a good way to recoup card advantage in the early game. You know, its explorers are the way it's going to cantrip to find its powerful cards. So if you
because it needs to just find more land.
Yeah, you just shut off its ability to draw and its acceleration. That's exactly what Mike wants to do here.
I mean, losing both Spell Pierces, though, that adds so much value to Steve's Summoning Trap. Mike's also not going on the aggressive here, which is, his opponent drew the land that he wanted. He's going to pass back. But the Spell Pierces are excellent answers to the Summoning Traps.
Definitely, because you know, you mana leak a spell, they're like, oh, well, I got you with the Summoning Trap, and the one mana you have left untapped covers the rest of it.
Land off the top.
That's exactly what Steven was looking for. And that Tectonic Edge could be huge here, turning off that Valakut. Mike is slowly assembling his resources. Are we going to see a play here? He's been pretty careful so far.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be so bold as to make a play here because, you know, he's got to have both mana leaks up in case his opponent gets the 6. I feel like if he had wanted to make a play, he would have had to have made it the turn before.
Yep. And
like if you don't make a play the turn before, then you definitely can't make a play there.
Looks like he just passes. Brian Kibler chimes in, this guy is crazy not casting his Mystics. So
yeah.
In this situation, Brian Kibler would cast Stoneforge Mystic, but Mike
I
Eisenhauer
would cast it the turn before for sure.
Maybe he's playing scared. Maybe he's got some kind of plan. Maybe he's just, you know, maybe feeling the pressure a little bit. It's hard to know if what's going on here. But regardless of what's going on Mike's side, we know what's going on Steven's side. He's got quite the array over there. Looks like Primeval Titan is probably on tap for this turn, followed by a Summoning Trap if Mike chooses to counter it. Oh, no Inferno Titan. Same, different Titans, same great giant filling. Alright, so he mana leaks it. And Summoning Trap's going to come down almost assuredly. Whoa, he just chooses not to Summoning Trap. You'd rather see if Mike taps low and then maybe doesn't have mana to counter the trap too.
It's actually pretty spicy.
Certainly an interesting line of play.
And it gets Mike to
spend mana.
Lands.
Yeah, because
now he can.
Yeah, absolutely. Now he can just. Now he's going to tap. And he's going to have 3, and then on his turn, Steven can be okay. Primeval Titan. Mike's clearly going to counter it, and then Steven gets a nice little 7-card look to find another threat,
which he could whiff on.
That's always the danger of Summoning Trap.
You never know.
I accidentally played the green-white trap deck and extended for a PTQ, and man, casting Summoning Trap is like the most dangerous thing.
It's a scary way to whiff.
All right, so here comes Primeval Titan. Mana leak, and it's just like Steven drew it up. Here comes Summoning Trap, and there's no Spell Pierce. So what's in the top 7 cards? What's in the top 7 cards? That is the question. Looks through, it doesn't look like there's much of anything.
I don't think there's anything. I think he whiffed.
Such is the danger of Summoning Trap, and just all goes on the bottom.
Ooh! Mike's got to feel happy about that one. When you call my name, it's like a...
Wow.
That's a nice thing to happen in a game 3 when you're trying to make the tournament. And he has 1 card left. This sort of Feast of Heaven's gonna get on this. Oh no! Come on, equip it! Come on, Mikey! Oh.
Why would? So if you equip there and he bolts and he's just out of cards, right?
Yeah. And if you, oh come on, it's all right.
I mean, to be fair, he did draw. So he's got Zenith, and is that Primeval Titan? Alright, so here comes Zenith for Max, and here comes Flash Freeze, take it down. And he's passed the pass back.
Yeah, and now he's got no cards left. Mike's got the sword going.
Yeah, it looks like that sword is going to strip the Summoning Trap out of Steven's hand, taking yet another big spell. Uses his mana effectively, chooses the Preordain first.
All right. Crashing, and Mike gets to untap all of his lands. I think Mike's probably going to equip a sword. Another sword. And pass the turn. This looks pretty good for Mike. I hear Mike's going to get to... I think Mike gets to crash in with a colonnade too this turn.
Yeah, almost certainly.
So it's 9. Puts Steven at 7. Mike gets to untap all of his lands. Mega Wolf. Mill his opponent for 10. Whoop! The Primeval Titan off the top. I believe that may have only been 9 cards, but that's probably 10.
Oh man.
He's saying, all right, here's the hand. Let's go. Now, Steven kind of just needs an Inferno Titan off the top, I believe. And even then, he's still got to deal with a colonnade, so it's the colonnade along with the
Acidic Slime.
and that's it anyway. Regardless of what a 6 line kills this game.
And he packs it in.
Yeah, Michael Eisenhauer. That's exciting.
Mike
In the
Eisenhauer
top
takes the
8.
match.
Get him over here.
Wow.
Can we
Celebratory butt sex.
I'll
can you aim
yeah, I'll tell Glenn to bring it over here.
how exciting.